Okay, let's get started on these specs. Today we're going to be looking at 6 different specs. All these specs are useful. All these specs I've used in low-end mythics and high-end mythics. They have a different use per spec, and we're going to go over what those uses are. In our first one, it's defensive and passives. This is a spec that you would choose if you were new to Arcane Mage, or you were both new to just Mage as well as Arcane Mage. On the left side, you've got plenty of defensives. You don't have a lot of things to click, like Remove Curse, or Spell Steal, or Ring of Frost, or Frost Nova. And on the right side, you have several passives that give you clear casting, which help you learn the rotation of Arcane. It also includes a few mana batteries, like Mana Adept and Rule of Threes. Now, this is Rule of Threes, not to be confused with 3 Days to Kill, which is the 2014 hit film starring Keven Costner, where he's a super spy, and Costner basically plays out what every dad does every day. So that's one option. So let's move on to number 2. This is utility heavy. So the first one was not a lot of stuff to click. But this next one has pretty much all the things you can click. Some of the key things in that is this guy here, your Arcane Familiar. You've got to put him on as a buff, basically with your Arcane Intellect. And you have Touch, you have Evoke, you have Mana Gem, lots of things to click. And over here, you have those things that you didn't have in the first spec, like Frost Nova, Ice Nova, Spell Steal, Decurse. It's all the utility you can squeeze in here. I've tried to squeeze in here. So now let's take a look at lots of mana. And this spec is mostly centered around clear casting. This whole side of the tree is clear casting, and it checks a lot of the boxes. So you are going to be clear casting like a crazy person. You have Evoke, which is mega mana. You also have Time Anomaly, so you get that Arcane Surge every now and then. You've got your Palm for your free blasts, and you've got Arcane Familiar. Now, you do have this here and this here, which are big defensives, like this Diverted Energy and this watery Arcane one. This one here reminds me of like a water shield. And that's, again, not to be confused with the 1995 hit movie Waterworld starring Keven Costner, which, if you didn't know, was the most expensive movie at the time it was made. So you also have Reduplication, so you can use this defensive more often. It's a well-rounded spec, and you will never run out of mana with this thing. Alrighty, as for this one, this is my spec. And if you want to know everything about my spec, this one's easy. I'll put a link to How to Arcane Mage Basics, and it will explain the spec as well as the rotation. But if you want to take a second and take a peek at this and copy it down if you'd like, be my guest. Alrighty. Okay, let's take a look at the raid spec. I call it a raid spec because it's extreme single target. It has extreme defenses. It's a very, very defensive spec, and it's centered almost strictly around one target. It's reminiscent of the 1992 film The Bodyguard, starring Keven Costner and the legendary Whitney Houston. So you'll notice you don't have Dragon's Breath or Blast Wave. That's because those are like AoE stuns, and in a raid, you're likely, if you're only fighting one target, you're not going to go, shooting a bunch of different things. Not like shooting the place up like in the Highwaymen, and that was made in 2019, starring Keven Costner, where he goes shoots up all this big bar, searching for Bonnie and Clyde. That's a good one, but this is the raid spec. It's just centered around just completely single target stuff. And last but not least, we can't forget our PvPers out there. So this one's a really unique talent blend, and this one was fun putting together and playing with. It includes this guy. This should be a red flag of someone's in PvP spec. This makes Blast Wave knock them back about 3 to 4 times as far, and you can easily put people in positions they don't want to be in by Blast Waving them out. It's also got a lot of the Frost Nova stuff, so that you can really utilize that quick crowd control to get away. And it's got a very high movement. See that? High movement. High dot. Move, move, move. DPS, DPS, DPS. Not a whole lot in the AoE department. So this is also a really great spec for PvP. This is my preferred spec to run with. And don't forget to always experiment. If you don't like any of these pre-built specs, you can change a teller to mix things up. Explore the world of Arcane Mage. There is a talent calculator in the description below. If you want to click that, you can play around with your talents without having to do it in game. I hope this has helped.